What's good, neighborhood? Welcome back to another episode of Warframe Wednesday. I've already forgotten whether or not we're on episode 26 or 27. Either way, the 43rd Warframe on the roster has already been announced and released on PC, so if you're not already checking her out, get out there and do so. She looks like a lot of fun, and I can't wait to get to that point where I'm actually going over the toolkit that she has once the Deadlock Protocol updates on consoles. But today it's all about reliving our fondest memories of mummies alive while playing Warframe. With that being said, today's target is Inaros. So yeah, as I've already alluded to on Twitter, and as well as, just with the whole mummy motif we got going on here, Inaros' abilities are all sand-based. Actually, yeah, we can go over his abilities in a little bit. However, acquisition comes first. So if you are planning on picking this bad boy up and haven't decided to buy him from the shop, you'll find Inaros after completing... Where is it? After completing this story quest right here, the Sands of Inaros. In order to get this quest, you have to keep an eye out for the trader, Baro Ki'Teer. Every week, every 2 weeks, on a rotation, the trader will show up at any of the main hub relays that are on the star chart. So, places like the Strata relay on Earth. Or, for example, if we go to, say, Mercury, he could show up at the Larunda relay. But basically, any relay where you can wind up, running into, multiple online players, or even where you can go to visit the different factions in the game, the trader usually shows up at those relays, and you'll see an icon on the map when he's approaching and where he's approaching from. Excuse me. Anyway, basically, once the trader shows up, if you have enough ducats, which are the in-game currency that you use to buy items from the trader, then just talk to the trader. The Sands of Inaros quest will show up literally right at the bottom of his menu. But speaking of relays, you know where we're going. You know where we gotta go and what we gotta do. Come on. There we go. It's taking a while for that to load in. here we go. This is where we need to be. We just need to kind of... So, it seemed like the tweet didn't go out. Anyway. How's it going, Jan? And it's funny you mention Harrow, because I actually just picked him up last night. So, that's one more added to the collection, and I've almost got a full roster of, like... Out of all the Warframes I have, as it stands, I've almost got the full roster. And I'm not talking both originals and primes, but just, you know, if a variant of that Warframe exists, I have it, or I'm getting close to it. Morning, Blue. Good to see you. So, for anyone looking to check this bad boy out, let's start with Inaros' passive. Now, again, this is another passive that actually shows its worth when you're actually in a live fire mission. But instead of just the normal Bleedout animation or the normal downed animation, when Inaros gets knocked down, when he takes fatal damage, he actually literally entombs himself in a sarcophagus. You know, straight up Imhotep style, and any enemies that are nearby, he can actually drain them of their health in order to revive himself, and that's if he's not already getting a revive from any of his teammates. Excuse me. And now that we have our punching bags on the field, let's begin. Now, one of the first things you're going to notice about Inaros is, much like Nidus, your boy doesn't have shields. So instead of shields, he's going to have a much larger starting health pool compared to most others. And every time you level him up, or every time you rank him up, it's his health that's going to keep increasing, you know, that much faster. The demo in particular that I was playing was for, that was for a open BOR build. You know, that was for one of the community spotlight games that I did a while back. But yeah, I've been playing a few. Alright, so, first ability right out of the box that you get with this guy, Desiccation. It's pocket sand, okay? It is straight up, I throw sand in your face, pocket sand. As you can see from what was going on right there, the enemies take damage. You know, the enemies take a little bit of damage over time, but the main thing you want to use Desiccation for is the blinding. And once you've got an enemy blinded, and I'm not breaking my ankles, you can follow up with finishers and stealth attacks. It's a nice little cheap shot to start off your run with him with. If nothing else, it's not great on damage, but it is really good for damage mitigation. Like if you're just going to run headlong into a mob, start with kicking up some dirt, pop who you can, and then finish off the rest as normal. His second ability, Devour, once you get him to rank 3, this one leaves them trapped in a mound of sand and scarabs. Yes, disgusting looking, I know. But again, great for damage mitigation, and the trap is laid down when you tap the ability. But when you hold it, the enemy gets pulled in and Inaros literally starts life-draining them. You know, just literally, again, devouring them to restore his health. Best part about that is, if you do enough damage to kill while you're devouring, then what happens is he'll create a sand clone of the enemy that you just devoured, and that clone will actually fight as an ally for a certain length of time, depending on what your ability duration is. In short, duration's really going to help out as far as making the most out of Inaros' abilities. Once you hit rank 5, it's Darude Sandstorm. Now, as you saw right there, the Sandstorm sucks up any enemies that are in the vicinity, cast it again, and it dissipates the Sandstorm, throwing your enemies, ragdolling them. Interesting little synergy, though, is that if you got someone stuck in the dirt with Devour... let me get some more energy here. If you've got someone stuck in the dirt with Devour, and then you cast Sandstorm, you'll immediately go into devouring the enemy's health. And what's more, again, if the Sandstorm kills an enemy that's under the Devour status, then you've got your sand clones waiting and ready to go. Now let's go ahead and pop up here, snag just a bit more energy for Inaros' final ability. Once you get him to rank 10, you can have him generate Scarab Armor. Now, the armor itself isn't necessarily the big draw, though the armor is, it's armor. So, it'll offer some extra protection. But doing so, especially to generate the full armor, it's going to cost you health, so be very careful when using this. However, when you recast the Scarab Armor, you can call up the Scarab Swarm. Said swarm, as you can see, attacks nearby enemies, drains their health, brings it back to you. The more enemies you catch, the more health they drain and return to you, and what's more, this puts them under the Devour status. So, Scarab Swarm, Devour, follow it up with Sandstorm, and there you go. So, as you can see from what we just finished up there, there's some pretty solid synergy amongst Inaros' abilities, and if you've got the right weapons, even outside of the thematic gear that I'm going for, if you've got the right weapons hooked up to them, and you've got a little something extra as far as your Sentinel Companion and the mods you have equipped on that to help bolster your abilities even further. Cast that one more time. But when you've got a good kit going, and honestly, I don't think it really takes much. With a good kit, once you get Inaros to rank 10, let alone rank 30, survivability becomes less and less of an issue. So let's go ahead and leave those poor saps to their fate, and we'll actually get started running the mission. I wonder if there's any of the battle pass activities that I can do relatively quickly. Let's see. Gas damage, marking resources. Okay, looks like gas damage and resource marking.
Later.
So what am I looking at so far?
If I may say, Operator, your chosen Warframe suits you. Ha, ha.
Okay, that's not set up for elements. This one, however, can be. Oh, it's Firestorm. No. I need thermite rounds. Alright, so let's just go ahead and jump right in here. Well, I'm not going to worry about trying to make a unmodded set for him. Especially since, you know, part of Inaros' kit is, you know, being able to actually do what he can to come back from death, so dying has to be a little bit more of a possibility here.
Keep the enemy busy while a fellow tenant raids the ship for supplies. Ready? Trigger the alarm.
And there we go.
They have just shut down all systems. I'm sending life support capsules your way.
Yep. Throw the sand and immediately get started with the stealth kills. Well, with the fixtures, I should say. So the plan for this is to at the very least stay in the survival mission long enough to get the kills that I need with to get the gas damage kills I need to fulfill that condition.
Life support incoming.
Let's see. What's my max? 3740 is my max health right now? And as it stands, I'm actually regenerating it fast enough with Inaros that I don't even need to worry about
Ordered
really
a life support capsule to the area.
picking up any health orbs.
Activating it will buy you more time. Life support has been replenished.
Alright, everybody, all together now. There we go. Not gonna lie, as much as I love the shotguns in this game, I am very much finding myself partial to this grenade rifle. But I mean, from what I've been told, the Ogres has always been a good, it's always been a good weapon to aim for.
Life support on the way.
Come here. And there we go. There's our sand clone that I mentioned earlier. And of course, anything that can be detected as an ally for me, most enemies on the map are going to start gunning for, even if it's just something that's being hit with the radiation status. There we go. And the reason I mentioned that is because, well, once again, it's all about keeping up with that damage mitigation. The longer you can keep getting hit, the longer you can keep from getting hit, the better. And that means generating enemies for... that means generating allies for others to attack. That means, you know, iframes on the Devourer.
Get ready for a capsule.
Oh crap. This is where things could get nasty.
Another life support capsule.
Okay, running a little bit low on the life support.
We've got signals singing the same song as our victim.
Oh.
Careful now.
Life activated.
Whatever these cephalites have become, there's no going back.
Okay, doing okay so far.
The raid is off to a successful start. Extraction is available if you need it.
Get over here. Come here. I need a heavy gunner on my team.
You gotta find out what's protecting them, and then take your shots.
Oh, I come back in here. We're at 70% now, so let's grab another life support beacon.
Life support has been replenished.
No, 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 no.
Prepare for life support.
You don't get to shoot me. Bang. Come here.
support capsule is now available.
Itadakimasu. Alright. We're at 90. 60 more kills with gas damage, huh? Considering how these guys are trying to bum rush me, that should not be an issue. Alright, let's get you off the playing field. And you. And you guys. Okay, time to try something a little... Scarab armor is a go. Let's have myself a nice little meal. Okay. There we go.
Another life support capsule is now available.
I'm gonna need to start doing some more modding to this weapon so that way I can at least reload my shots faster. Because that reload time is really screwing me in the long run. That guy's one of mine. There we go. Back at full health. Alright, another 30 more enemies to go, but I still need to get my hands on some life support. Is there one over this way? No. Everything's headed down here. Right.
Life support activated.
So, for anybody that's watching right now that might actually be, if nothing else, interested in either getting into the game or in using this particular character, if you got any questions, just feel free to pop them in the chat. And if you're watching this on the, VOD that's posted on YouTube right now, then same thing. Just post your questions. I'll make sure I have the notifications turned on so that way I can answer them when they come in. Okay, are there any heavy gunners in the area?
Life support coming. The longer you fight, the more successful we will be.
There we go, heavy gunner. So, we'll do that. Let's see if we can't just take him out of the equation entirely. Boom. Mine.
Additional life support has arrived.
Good thing, too. So it's getting it.
Life support activated.
Oh, that hurt.
although dying is a greater possibility, it hasn't quite happened yet. But that right there, I think, proves the innate level of survivability that this particular Warframe has. Fabulous 647, how you doing?
Hey dreamers, we are up and ready to party.
Yes, indeed.
I've delivered another life support capsule.
So, with that condition out of the way, I should probably start making my way towards extraction right now. You know, the more I use this, the more I realize that gas damage is surprisingly effective now that they've reworked it. Okay, where to next? Well, let's make sure I at least hit one of these beacons so that way I don't run out of life support before I actually get to the exit. Hello.
Life support activated.
And one more for the road.
Life support has been replenished. Another life support capsule is now available.
That whole squad just got deleted. Unfortunately for them, they're going to be too busy worrying about shooting at each other to deal with me. And that's exactly how I like it. Alright, looks like we are almost at here.
Life support on the way.
Done and done, in even 15 minutes. Ooh, excuse me. Now, like I say, even though I've got something of a theme build going here, not just in terms of looks and color palette, but also in terms of the weapons themselves, the best thing that you're going to want to do, especially when working with Inaros, is definitely definitely make sure that you're modifying for duration and, honestly, I would say duration and range. So let me see if
Oh man, I don't even have a free slot.
If I may say, operator, your chosen Warframe suits you. Ha ha.
Actually, let's jump into the capture real quick, because I do want to check something. Because I forget whether or not this is still... applicable, but a while back, having a Warframe hooked up with the... with the physique mod tends to make his hit points, make his health pool just like go nuts. Yeah, honestly, I would say Mag is definitely a good Warframe, especially with the way they've redone the way that armor works in this game now. Sorry, not armor, but the way that shield gating works. Because now, you know, you can still land headshots on most enemies and it'll bypass their shields. But what's more is Mag is really good for, like, Mag's abilities are really good for helping you do damage shields and patched armor. That's some solid crowd control. Hey, you know what? Since we're I guess basically done with the, you know, tutorial portion here anyway. Well, yeah, to finish off the tutorial portion of the stream, it's as simple as this. Inaros is a tank. You definitely want to take advantage of... you definitely want to take advantage of how high you can get your health.
Operator, were you
And
visualizing
give me just a
any
quick
Bleedout?
moment while I ban this bot.
Me too.
Boom. Done. There we go. Unfortunately, the message is still going to show up there. But, yeah, as far as Inaros goes, ratchet up his health as high as you can get it. And I'm talking using... I'm talking using mods like Vigor, like Physique, for, you know, increasing your health, by max health by a percentage that way. Let's see, Vigor and Vitality are good ones. You'll also want to find mods like Rage or Hunter Adrenaline, so that way any damage that you take to your health immediately gets converted over to energy, and you can use that energy to cast your skills. Don't worry, Brian, I already dropped the ban hammer on that sucker. The unfortunate part is that since I'm streaming straight from the PS4, that message is basically going to stay stuck on the chat roll. But yeah, absolutely. Simaris knows what's up. Just stack armor, stack health. That's going to be your, that is going to be your bread and butter in terms of building Inaros. Build him for that survivability,
And then jump around to making sure that you can also mod for making your abilities as cheap as possible to cast, keep them up for as long as possible, and make them affect the widest area they can. So duration, efficiency, and range. That's going to be your top 3 outside of health and armor. But Avila, since you did ask about mag, I'll go ahead and pull her up for you. And actually, let me switch to... Actually, yeah, I'll just switch back over to Mag Prime.
Excellent armaments, operator. Please return covered in blood. Safe and sound.
Now, Mag...
The system continues to fall into chaos. Check navigation for active invasions.
Mag is like one of the earliest Warframes that I covered. I mean, like, this is back, I think, yeah, Mag would be like the second or third episode, or the second or third week of Warframe Wednesday that I did. So, needless to say, it's been a while since I've actually, had her up on stream and, putting out tutorial information for her. But I am more than willing and more than happy to do a little crash course. Exactly. I'd say the core Warframes that were pretty much in it from the start: Excalibur, Nyx, Mag, Loki.
My intel suggests there are rich enemy supply caches in the area.
I forget whether or not
but I am
it was
unable to
Frost or
pinpoint the
Ash that
exact
were
location.
that were
So,
among the
if
earlier
you are willing
ones.
to shoulder the added risk.
But anyway, looking for a Mag crash course?
You're still in the clear.
Here we go.
No detection of enemy sensors. The enemy are using a void key and a portable torsion beam device to force open the portal, destroy the key and the device.
Attack us, and we'll counter.
Gotcha. Alright, so, for your Mag crash course, here we go. First ability, Pull. Does decent damage, really good for crowd control. Make use of that crowd control to get them in range for some of your weapons, or for some of your more devastating tactics. Or if you've got a good melee weapon, get them in range for that. Magnetize is solid. Again, great crowd control. Any rounds you launch into the bubble, especially if they have punch through, will just keep spinning and spinning. It'll just keep going through, basically shredding anything inside the bubble. Crowd control and localized damage all in one. And when the bubble runs out, it explodes doing additional damage. So you're always going to be on the go when it comes to dealing damage and crowd control. And hey, if you cast Magnetize on an enemy and then cast Pull, that just keeps enemies further disabled, and you can actually yank them into the bubble where your rounds are waiting to do that continuous damage. Crash Course Lesson 3, Polarize. What Polarize is going to do for you is strip enemies of their armor. Always a good start when you're starting off any skirmish. Ragdoll, armor strip. And again, cast the bubble to go along with that. And then, just drop enemies in there. And make the rest of their existences, as Cephalon Simaris would put it, crap dipped in misery. Very true, very true. Another good piece of meta to keep in mind. Almost everything, almost every projectile is better with higher punch through. But anyway, last but not least, Mag Crash Course Lesson 4. Once you get Crush at rank 10, use that, stops enemies cold, does damage if not killing them outright. Pretty much stops things cold. Another great thing about Mag is that her passive is really good too. When you do the little bullet jumps, pulls in nearby items. I always find that sort of utility very useful, especially if you're trying to keep your hands on health and energy orbs. There we go. Now we're back. Now we're back in business. Oh, by the way, that's another thing I should mention. Any enemy projectiles that get shot into a magnetized bubble, those get held and reflected back. So, with that little crash course out of the way, objectively, just looking at Mag from a pure, this is what she brings to the table standpoint, you could say that Mag is an objectively good Warframe. Now, if you want my personal opinion, frankly, every single Warframe on the roster is good. Every single Warframe, yes, even Banshee, can be viable. In some cases, all you need is good gear. In other cases, all you need is patience. Alright. Let me see if I can't get over here and finish up this sabotage mission real quick so we can bring this to a close.
The portal only allows travel in one direction. Start up the portal generators to reverse the polarity.
Yeah, I did beat Yakuza 4. I beat it back when I had it on the PS3. is shooting at me? Oh. Alright, let's get part 2 done. Primary weapon. There we go. Now we're getting into some interesting questions here. Or at least, questions I haven't been asked too often. Well, if you're looking for a good primary, this is where I gotta actually inject a little bit of bias here. Because, for starters, I don't have all the primary weapons in the game yet. But I can definitely say that if you can find yourself a good shotgun, then that's really gonna help you out as far as your survivability goes. My suggestion is the Dragoon.
There's the torsion beam device.
The Dragoon is a good starter shotgun. And if I remember correctly, it is a blueprint that you can pick up pretty easily. Well, you can pick up the blueprint for it from the in-game shop. And then, as far as getting the materials for it to actually build it, you'll get that over the course of the game. But get the Dragoon from the shop. Make sure you build that for yourself. It's got solid damage, and it does slash damage, so you'll get that constant damage over time afterwards, after the rounds land. And what's more is that the bullets bounce.
Big mistake. Big mistake.
Yeah, the Soma and the Tigress are also really good too.
Remembered. Who will remember you? Terrible.
Wait for the shot!
Transference still holding.
Quick, pick up the key.
And that's the end of that.
You got the key. Now get back to the portal.
Come on. There we go. Let's see. Yeah. Absolutely correct. Yeah, the only thing about the Tigress and Soma are that, their variants are ones that you'll definitely wind up finding later on. But again, if you're just starting out, I definitely say go for the Dragoon.
Go through the portal now. It's about to collapse.
I will say another good, like the other primary. Well, The other primary that I find particularly fun to play with, I actually really like using the bow and arrows too.
The enemy will not be returning anytime soon. Tenno, there are still undiscovered supply caches
But
in the
of
area.
course,
You may want to locate them before
with bow and arrows, like you get one right at the start of the game, and you know it may not seem like much, especially without some decent mods on it. But once you get a little bit later in the game and you start fighting your Kuva liches, then you'll actually be able to unlock a really, really stinking good bow and arrow. Let's blow this popsicle stand. Oh. There we go. Spending too much time trying to play it fancy and almost got myself stuck. Okay, get in there. Get everyone over here. Hey, what's good, Chop? Come here. This pote thing thought it was gonna shoot me. Oh wait, extraction's that way. Getting way too caught up on shooting people. Which of course is kind of the name of the game, but still. Mo, GQ, good to see you guys both. The first shotgun, that was the Dragoon. Or at least that was the one that I mentioned. Let's see. It It was Tigris and Soma were the ones we were talking about earlier. But if you're talking about the first one, like the very first shotgun you come across, I think the first one you come across is the boar. But yeah, let me jump over here to the, let me jump over here to the weapons real fast. See if this search will actually... Okay. Shotgun search results. Let's see. A shotgun with only one shot. That sounds like the Exorcist. But yeah, this one right here, the Tigris is good.
Angry. I may require maintenance after all.
Oh, that's right. The Strun. This is one that you can just immediately buy right offhand with in-game credits, so if you want to get started with shotguns, the Strun is a good way to go. Hold on, let me clear the filter real quick, because I was mentioning this earlier, and I do want to make sure that's here. So I was mistaken earlier. You cannot pick up the Sobek in the shop. Oh, that's right. And if it turns out that that is a Joe weapon, then it'll be a bit before anyone actually just coming into the game will be able to pick that one up. That's rough. But I mean, hey, we have, that's why we've got a few others in the chat who are willing to provide additional info where my info may be lacking. That's true. And if you wind up just finding a clan to join, it'll be likely that they already have everything that you're looking for in the different labs. And, well, we could probably go over clan mechanics at a later point. But, you know, for now, the main thing is all about covering each of the Warframes as I get to them. So, with that, and drop the stream for this morning. Appreciate having you coming in and hanging out with me. Avila, if you haven't done so already... Oh. You already have done so. Perfect. Glad to see that you followed as well. Keep an eye out every Wednesday, because every Wednesday is when I do these streams going over the different Warframes. In fact, I'll be putting up my Warframe stream from last week on YouTube a little bit later on today. being said, until the next stream, you guys have yourselves a top-notch Wednesday. Stay good, neighborhood.